Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Well, hello, game over,
Oh.
Calgary. That was, you can see yourself. That's how I run this. I run the stream a little differently.
Warning, incoming
I've got,
game
of
over.
course, I've got audio coming from somewhere.
Warning, incoming
Oh,
game
I had the same
over.
thing coming in my ears, so it's all good.
Well, hello, game over,
Oh my
Calgary.
goodness,
that was, you can
I
see
popped
yourself.
out the chat.
That's how I run this.
Oh
I run
my
the stream a
God.
little differently.
Warning,
I'm pulling
incoming
up full
game
audio. Of
over.
course, I've got audio. All right, now we've stopped the full audioisms. You weren't a big Game Over fan before, were you? Oh my God! Now everything's falling to pieces. There we go.
Oh, we're back. We're back.
That's kind of how the third period felt if you were a Flames fan. Everything was on fire and you couldn't figure out why it wouldn't go back. But hello and once again, welcome. I'm Conrad Krausert, and I'm generally better at being a host than this would show. But joining me today is Brendan Labarre from Game Over Winnipeg. What's up?
Not too much. How are you doing, Conrad?
I'm doing better than when we played against Seattle, but not as good as when we beat the Penguins.
Oh yeah. Well, when we played Seattle, we surprisingly won. So there's.
Well, this is kind of the season that I was expecting, was the interesting portions of the season. As Tokay number 1, a frequent Game Over Flames watcher, says in chat, we're frauds. It's kind of how I'm feeling right now after an impressive start, and now the wheels are starting to fall off, even though we're getting healthier. It's strange. Just a strange night overall.
Yeah, and like that's gonna happen, and I think especially starting with those few goals there, you kind of set the tone. I think right away as I tweeted, I was like, "Oh, guys, we're betting the over. Like we got lots of things coming."
Yeah, it was a real weird one. Flames obviously scoring on the first shot of the game, because that's totally something you can rely upon, right? Michael Backlund just throwing a forehand to the net and it just goes well. That's just how it went, I guess. And then
and it started with a complete fire drill from the Jets' first line in front, which we come to expect with those guys, but you don't expect a shot like that to go in. It felt like just something that wouldn't be repeatable until it was.
Yeah, but it happened a couple times today, and then the Jets answer, bouncing a puck off Rasmus Andersson as he stands in front on the penalty kill. Our excellent penalty kill as always. I'm not going to drill into the Flames as much today. We've done that every episode I've been on. We've talked special teams. So I'm going to just let that be known as something that we're not happy with and move on with. And then Rasmus Andersson, we get the Rasmus Andersson stare that has been going all over social media with him. I can't remember. It was forehanded off the side of Comrie's mask. The second one to bounce off Comrie from below the goal line.
Yeah, it was like he went in on his strong side and curled in off a Dylan DeMille turnover and just kind of rifled it perfectly past because Comrie wasn't hugging his post.
Yeah, it's that when you go into that reverse VH stance that so many pro-level goaltenders are going to now, you kind of have that space between the shoulder and the ear, and Rasmus just bounced it off the new paint job on Comrie's mask. And
yeah, which is kind of rude if you think about it.
It's only been second game, or getting all those puck marks on it already.
Yeah, and at least when guys do it in practice, those are your friends. But this guy is just some guy. You go into his hometown. I believe Comrie's from Calgary, and you think you're having a nice night, and then some guy just ruins your paint job.
Yeah. And then I guess that's when the hockey gods then decided, you know what, it's just going to go full on pinball. The puck bouncing off the back glass, bouncing off Dustin Wolf's back, off his pad. Uyghur tries to swing his paddle at it and still trickles in. It's the witching hour. It's approaching Halloween. I guess that's what we can expect.
Yeah, and have you ever seen a goal like that before? Because I think I've only seen it once. Andrew Ladd did it in 2014, 2015. I believe it was against the Wild.
You mean Calgary Hitman legend Andrew Ladd? Yes,
I
remember
yes,
that
absolutely.
Goal. Yeah, I've got some brains inside this head to remember weird stuff like that. But yeah, I do remember that Ladd goal just somewhere in the back reserves of my brain.
It's one of those
And I
goals
feel
where it's
like,
like, oh, one of those goals where you're like, how smart would we be if we didn't have all this hockey knowledge just sitting on our heads?
yeah, just ugh. And then the goals actually started to really count. Calgary can't score on an extended 5-on-3, things you'll love to see as a Flames fan.
Mhm.
And then the goals actually started counting. I actually forgot to take notes on our NHL box score. The next one was you guys, because you guys, we tied it up 3-3.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. Brain actually function on a day like today. As I said, if I wasn't going to host, this would have been a game where I would have loved to have a substance that's now legal in this side of the border ready to go. But it was just, after all that weirdness,
Mhm.
it almost
Yeah,
felt like I should have, because then maybe I would have understood what was going on in the game.
yeah, and then after that 3-3, then it was the Perfetti goal.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Perfetti, all kinds of time, all kinds of space as the Jets
Mhm.
reverse it behind Wolf's net. And Wolf got a big piece of it, just not enough. And I don't think of Cole Perfetti as necessarily a 3 goals already in a young season kind of guy, but it's where he's at.
No, and that's like, that's a point, that's a 30 goal pace.
Yeah.
And just with his shot, like there's been I've said this on Game Over Winnipeg before, but there's some people in this household who may call him the Muffin Man because his shot isn't the strongest, but that one was kind of a laser. It looked very
Yeah.
Kyle Connor like in how he just like had the pressure down, really had that like almost like kind of a sweep shot to the wrist.
Yeah.
He just really got it through.
That was Nino Niederreiter's first assist of the game as well, and he picks up a 4th on the Mason Appleton empty net goal, and that's all she wrote, folks.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, as we mentioned, a weird one, lots of bounces. So the Flames have once again gotten new boards, apparently, and new glass. I feel like it's every 3 years, apparently, we get new boards and glass, it seems like. Well, I guess we are one of the busiest rinks in the NHL, hosting 3 teams in this building somehow. I don't know how our Flame staff does it.
Are the
But
are the university team in there as well?
no, it's the Flames, the Wranglers, and the WHL's Hitmen.
Oh, like the lacrosse.
No, the
Oh,
WHL.
oh,
Yeah.
I knew the
So
Hitmen.
no, Wranglers in the AHL.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
remember they moved back from
Yeah.
from Stockton a few years ago. But yeah, so the NHL, AHL, and Western League all calling the Saddle Dome home. So maybe it's that use of the boards, because yes, later in the season we do have the Roughnecks as well who use the same boards, the lacrosse team. So I don't know, maybe that's playing into us needing to get new boards and having all these weird bounces. It's something that I thought of, and I'm like, I don't think that's necessarily the sole reason for those weird bounces. But now that we've gotten through that kind of breakdown, because I totally forgot to do it right off the top, let's shout out the flagship show of Game Over Network, which is Hyperdrive Hockey. Check out our new flagship show on the network, which is Hyperdrive Hockey. Hyperdrive Hockey, all things hockey across various leagues in multiple countries. Wherever and whatever it is, Max, Daphne, and Kev have you covered for all of your hockey news with a steady dose of fun and fan engagement. I think both of our teams have been the talk of that show a few times with our hot starts.
As they
So,
should.
yeah, I agree, but ours is starting to fall off, and you guys still have the afterburners going. But you can check it out on the main hub YouTube channel at Game Over Network, or catch it on any of your podcatchers that you so enjoy. I'm a Spotify listener. But check them out. It's a good time. And especially if you like Star Wars references. So I think they've done
Excellent.
more. Their Star Wars reference per episode is probably higher than the Flames' expected goals in this one. But yeah. So we talked about the weird bounces, and it felt kind of like this game got more physical as it went on as well.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
like I think in the first period we had a few instances where I believe it was Nino Niederreiter just went in there, it went into Wolf's crease, just bumped a guy. You had Josh Morrissey. Connor's already had one heck of a night, taking a beating. And
yeah.
Josh Morrissey just in front of the net taking him out. Morgan Barron just went up to Wolf, just kind of crashed into him. You had Logan Stanley. Just I don't know if he was throwing his weight around, but his weight definitely was going around. just kind of knocking into guys. Again, Zari in front. Like Zari just
Connor
got tough.
Zary is not the largest man in the world either, so I think it kind of makes it a little easier to bully him around there.
Mhm.
But
And
also, you mentioned, or I mentioned earlier, Vlad Nemestikov. He got an assist today. He seemed to be the one that was getting under Rasmus Anderson's skin throughout this game, and then obviously we saw the offsetting penalties later on for Rasmus there was the
and Morgan
offsetting
Barron.
and Morgan Barron, yeah. So I don't know. It's this series that obviously doesn't have a lot of long-standing rivalry since the Jets' fairly recent reintroduction to the league, but it seems that they're always kind of a burr under the saddle of the Flames because we also saw Mackenzie Weegar and Mark Scheifele mix it up. Is that kind of a DNA of this Jets squad in your mind?
Yeah, like I think the Winnipeg Jets really like to play the physical game. Like especially when you have Adam Lowry as your captain, it kind of entails that identity. And I think they're just not afraid to just kind of get in places, make those physical plays, get under people's skin, especially when they had Pierre-Luc Dubois, who was just like a sneaky kind of dirty underneath the nodding. This
Sneaky dirty. I don't even
sneaky
necessarily
dirty.
think you need to put the sneaky in there, but
Okay, but here's the thing, as a Jets fan, I get to be a little biased. Like we're not the bad guys,
that's
okay?
fair.
Like yeah, like Dustin Byfuglien never threw a dirty hit. He was just always out there. He was a sweet baby boy and he was just
Mind you, I feel the same about Robner Gear and Ales Hemsky from back in the day, so
yeah, and I think when you got Nazem Kadri on your team, he'll throw some stuff out. He like jumped on I forget who it was. He just jumped on some guy's back today and it was like, you know what? He
that's
looked like
Nas.
yeah, oh, yeah. But you love him for it and it's like,
It's one of the guys you want to have on your team but never play against, sort of deal.
oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like he made a noticeable impact today, like doing that. He had some great rushes today. Just one heck
Also
of a
turned
player.
over the puck a few times.
Yeah, but when you're touching the puck a lot, that's gonna happen.
That's very true, but I think we're gonna tail that conversation there and head to period number 2. If I can, did my hotkeys transition again? Yes, they did.
There you go.
So good at this technology thing. But yeah, high tie, 8-0, and continuing to roll. But Game Over Network is an independent production focused on community inclusion and quality people. If you're interested in supporting the Game Over Network, we have crowdfunding options available in the description of this episode. You'll find the link to our Patreon page. If you join that, it'll automatically link you over to our Discord. And we are also encouraging people, however, to try and save your pennies a little bit here. So we do have a crowdfunding page going through LaRouche. This is a Quebec-based crowdfunding platform similar to Kickstarter. However, if we raise enough money on LaRouche, we do get a bunch of money in federal or in provincial grants. And that's huge for us. So if we can if we can raise 15K, we gain access to so much in terms of government grants and allows us to employ a few more wonderful people to continue to grow this network. If you have any ideas what you'd like to see as giveaways from these crowdfunding efforts, let us know in the comments on Twitter, Instagram, or as I mentioned, our Discord server. Come chop it up. We love to see people that are not just our host faces in and around the Discord. So we'll love to see you there. And if you have any LaRouche ideas, throw them in there. We're definitely trying to provide more entertainment for your dollar. I know I've joked with all of our Calgary Flames hosts that I'm going to go learn some other sports because they're all got some interesting secondary hobbies in the sports world. I'm still waiting for Anand to send me like the rules breakdown sheet for cricket, so I have to learn that. But anyways, speaking of the wickets, I guess we can talk about both goaltenders in this matchup. For the Flames, it was I gotta play the sound effect. The howl of Dustin Wolf. I don't know if that one came through on our chat, but good to see Dustin Wolf getting another start. And other than the 2 rough bounces, only lets 1 really quality shot in, and it's another power play goal. So I guess you can't really fault Wolfie as much for this one, I don't think.
No, and I think like with especially with a young goaltender like that, he's a guy you're looking towards in the future.
Yeah.
You're real, especially off those bad bounces, you're really looking for just a bounce back. And just I think you provide that, especially with that 5-on-3 on that Winnipeg had at the beginning there. They really were able to just he was really able to just hold it in there, kind of make some nice athletic saves and just kind of keep them in it.
And that's the unfortunate part of Dustin Wolf's entire career is he's going to have to be that guy who stands at the top of the crease and battles. Just I swear they keep adding an inch to his height every year, so eventually he will be 6'7", but now officially listed at 6 foot even, which in this era of goaltenders is unheard of. But he has to play at the top of his crease, has to be athletic and battle for every single puck just because he doesn't have the advantage of that 6'2" plus frame. Then on the other end, it's a second start on the season for Eric Comrie. What did you see out of your goaltender tonight?
Well, I think with Eric Comrie, in comparison with Connor Hellebuck, he's always been, even when they were playing on the Moose together, he's always been a little bit more athletic than Connor Hellebuck. So they kind of play that style a little differently. With Eric Comrie, he's more about he's more likely to flash the leather. He's more likely to make those extension saves like with his arms, with his legs, as opposed to Connor Hellebuck, who has that big frame, as opposed to a guy like Dustin Wolf, and just lets the puck hit him, lets it die, and hold it. So with Eric Comrie today, we talked about those goals he kind of let in over his shoulder. Those are unfortunate. Those are also super hard shots to make, and it's just kind of weird that they happened both in one game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, but other than that, he made some nice saves. You'd kind of like to have that like third one back. But other than that, as a backup goaltender, that's kind of the game you're looking for. You give your team a chance to win, and he stayed in the fight all night.
And the broadcast, if you're listening to Kelly Rudy, I don't tend to listen to Kelly even in real life when I've met him, but that's neither here nor there. They really were putting this emphasis on not having Hellebuck play as much of the regular season as he has in the past. Is that something that you're worried about as your number one goaltender racks up the Mika Kiprasov-esque numbers in between the pipes?
Yeah, and I think the one thing about Connor Hellebuck is he's super competitive, which is like you want your guys to be super competitive. But at the same time, it's like, okay, buddy, like we don't need you to win these. We don't need an 8-game win streak in October. We need 4 out of 7 in April. I almost said August, but this is not the 2021 playoffs or 2020 playoffs.
And I think we're all happy about that.
Yeah, and just with especially with they came into camp this year and they had Kakinen and they had Eric Comrie. And so we start this training camp and we all kind of thought, we're gonna have we have Thomas Milic in the Moose system and we have him down there. And he's a guy they really liked towards the end of last season. And who better to kind of mentor that guy than 29-year-old Eric Comrie, who's been through that system and within the Jets organization has gotten that next chance. Mm-hmm. But he beats Kakinen for the job. And with a guy like Eric Comrie, he has a good relationship with the Jets goaltender coach. And with that kind of security blanket, with that kind of trust that he already has within the organization, he's someone that they can kind of allow to have more games, especially when you have an 8-0 start and you're not too worried about kind of winning every single game as possible, because you kind of have that buffer and you're in a league where there are magical fairy points if you tie the game going to regulation.
Yeah, or you're the Carolina Hurricanes and you don't allow the Oilers to get that mystical fairy point. Thank you, Sebastian Aho, a few days ago. But yeah, it allows so much more freedom when you get performances like this from your backup. Like we saw that last year with Dan Vladar and him having some success in the middle of the season, spelling Jacob Marks for a minute, just made those marks from games feel less vital, knowing that if you have to turn to your backup, you're at least getting a fighting chance. So
there's also some teams that also can make backups too. Like you look at the New York Rangers, it doesn't seem to matter who their backup is year in, year out. Like whether it's Andre Pavlik that one year randomly, or it's 40-year-old Jonathan Quick. Like it seems like guys just go in there and succeed. And like with Laurent Brossoit, who was here before, and with a guy like David Riddick we had a few years ago, Calgary Flame legend.
Flames legend, I was about to say. My fantasy team, not legend.
But yeah, like the Winnipeg Jets just seem to be a team where you can come in and as a goaltender, you can have a couple years, maybe 1 or 2, and establish yourself for a next contract, which kind of brings in people and it kind of helps like establish the team.
Yeah, I am certainly in full agreement with you on that. But let's kind of go to the bits and bytes third period here. But before we do that, and as I throw that light on, let's talk about one of our other shows on the Game Over Network. Let's talk about another team that's kind of on their rise out of their rebuild, Game Over Ottawa. Game Over has you covered after the game, but in order to get ready to watch the Sens, you got to get your game on too. Game on Ottawa is a short-form daily news podcast giving you everything you need to know about the Ottawa Senators, hosted by Michael Czar. Get all of your Sens news in under 10 minutes, Monday through Friday on the Game Over Ottawa YouTube channel in its podcast form, which you can find at gameovernetwork.pages/pages/Ottawa. And hey, if you ever need Game On Calgary, me and Anand are bringing that to you Monday through Friday as well. You had to see my face 3 days in a row, though. I don't know if that's a positive for our Game On fans. Anand, he's off at a wedding. Not his own wedding, but a family wedding. It's never a bad time. He's out in Ontario,
sometimes that's just
though.
as good. You don't have to worry about like all the finer things. You can just go and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, go party.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But this is kind of bits and bytes where I figure we can talk about the hot start to both of our team's seasons. Obviously, the Flames have now fallen twice in a row, but the Jets maintaining their perfect 8-0 record is Ty made sure to jump into the chat and remind me of. And Ty, I will remember this comment for the next time you need someone to produce Game Over for you. But anyways, what are your thoughts on this hot start? Is this something you even had in your wildest dreams in the preseason?
Well, I think when you kind of look at how this team was constructed, you came into the season like, okay, we lost in 5 to Vegas the year before, 2 years ago. Last year we lose to Colorado, and then we come into training camp, and we have these thoughts of like, okay, the Winnipeg Jets might have a little influx of youth here. We had Brad Lambert, who we thought, okay, you know what? Maybe it's his time to shine at 20 years old. He was an AHL All-Star last year. Maybe he gets a shot at 2C. Then we had Nikita Chibrikov, who's another player who is like a Morgan Barron kind of, probably can play in the bottom 6 for you, has some nice offensive touch, and just a guy you look at him, he's got a bunch of pro habits. Yeah. And he looks like he's like on maybe another team that's a little more top heavy and less spread out than the Jets. He probably makes it. And you're kind of thinking about like, oh, like, are the Winnipeg Jets actually going to be able to take a step with everyone on the roster aging a year? Because it's all the same guys as last year, except for like Colin Miller and like the very bottom of the defense kind of place
pairings
there.
Yeah,
the pairings, yeah, thank you. Almost losing the word there for a second. And so you kind of get in the season and you're like, okay, like you're kind of down because you're like, where's this growth gonna come from? And then we forget that the Winnipeg Jets going to the playoffs last year kind of had this streak of winning about 8 in a row as well. And when you get into the season and you get 1, you get 2, you get 3, and you keep thinking about like what makes them a successful regular season team. And I always think that when you are in the regular season compared to the playoffs, teams aren't really preparing for you every night. They're not doing a huge analytic on how to defeat the Jets. And that kind of works in your favor, especially when you have the best goaltender in the world. Just because, you can't dissect him too much because you're playing the Sunday, you're playing the Saturday, you're probably playing the Tuesday, the Thursday, just within the course of the NHL schedule. So just having a bunch of guys who have pro habits who have been playing together for so long, it kind of makes sense that like this team could gel together kind of quickly. But also it's hockey and like you're playing with a rubber disc on a sheet of ice with blades on your feet. And it's just kind of perplexing how this team has kind of evolved and kind of changed. And you see them almost learn kind of different lessons as they go along. Like the first kind of few games seem very different from these last 4. And these last 4 against Pittsburgh, the Blues, the Calgary Flames, they've had these moments of diversity, letting in the first shot on a bad angle this game. You have some the Pittsburgh game where just in that second period, you're completely bending, but you're not breaking, and you find your way through. That Seattle game where they're completely outmatched in terms of speed and in transition, they found ways to kind of match that in parts and get that who was it, Nino Niederreiter goal, where they were able to kind of match the rush game, and they kind of lost it a little bit. But when you have a goaltender like Connor Hellebuyck, it allows you to kind of figure it out as you go.
Yeah, and then I guess I'll kind of give you the breakdown of the Flames in our wild ride to this point. I jokingly called it the PDO bender that'll never stop. And I think that's kind of still how I feel about it. It was not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. It was two goaltenders playing 20 points above the league average this year. And I'm going to be honest, for a team that's as young as the Flames are, or as young as we should be, we're not really. If you looked at this roster, you'd see way too many names that you recognize, and I don't mean that in a good way. Like, this is a team where Michael Backlund and Blake Coleman are driving the ship right now. It's not the Nazem Kadri line. Of course, they just got Igor Sharangovich back today for his first game of the regular season. But it's a team that's full of holes and full of devastating flaws. Like, Rasmus Andersson is at 10 points already on the year. Like, he's been hiding a whole lot of the holes in this ship. We don't have a right-handed centerman in our system to call out. They're all lefties. Prior to today, we had a 60% face-off game today. But it was not in the right areas, I'll tell you that for free. But we've been averaging around 40% in the face-off dot. Like, there are so many holes in this ship that it just refused to sink. That the PDO bender was a fun way to start the season, but was completely unsustainable, and we're starting to see that now.
Yeah. So when you're watching these games, you're kind of watching these wins unfold. Like, what are your expectations, or what are you hoping? Are you hoping the guys like Anthony Mantha, who had some nice spurts today, do you think he kind of, like, you want to see those UFAs kind of like score a little more so that they can kind of go at the deadline for a higher price? Or are you hoping that the young guys kind of take up that oxygen and kind of take that next step with a guy like Connor Zary?
Connor Zari's kind of the only young guy that's really on the roster when you look at it.
Oh, no.
Like, yeah, but this is a good thing. Our young guys have been sent back down to the minors. Like, Matt Coronado was just sent down yesterday after he'd had a hard start. Sam Honzek currently on the IR. I expect as soon as he's healthy, he'll be shot out of a cannon down to the Wranglers. And the Wranglers are lighting the AHL on fire right now.
Oh, that's excellent.
So, and I guess Justin Kirkland you can kind of call a young guy, but he's 28, just making his first stint into an extended stay in the NHL. So, I guess I want to see these old guys do as much as they can, make these games exciting and entertaining. Still lose by one goal when we're pilling our goalie to try and scramble to try and maybe get an extra point. I'm okay with that. But yeah, what I want to see these guys who are on expiring deals or 1-year deals earn us an extra second round overall. Does somebody want to lightly use Tyson Barrie that we signed after a PTO for whatever reason to be the 8th defenseman on this team? No, not it.
Not it.
Or I lightly use Dan Vladar. Like, if you guys need a goaltender to get through the season, Toronto Maple Leafs. That's always worked out well for them, right? They got Big Save Dave first after us, so.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I feel like that's another big nose game moment. Where it's like we're playing hot potato with him. Yeah, he played some good games here though, except he took Dustin Byfuglien's number, which I wasn't too big of a fan of.
Yeah, and then now he's not stopping the puck again in Los Angeles, and that's another nose goes there.
I don't stop any pucks either. I just wish I got paid as much as him.
That's true. I would take his pay grade to just stand in front of the net and stop maybe 1 out of 10 pucks.
Absolutely.
I just need to not draft former Flames and only former Flames in fantasy. I'm learning.
There you go.
But I'll give this kind of the warning to folks. If you want to get your questions answered in chat, don't text them to me like my mom's doing. Send them off in the chat, and we will get to them. I've got a couple of comments I want to get back to. But I'll ask you one more question. What would you say is the mix you want to see between Hellebuyck and Comrie in a perfect world?
In a perfect world, I would like Connor Hellebuck's starts to stay below 60. I would love to see him play like 52, 55, and for Comrie to get like 30 or 27, especially with this hot start kind of giving you that buffer. And like with a guy so familiar with the organization, I think that must have been a part of those contract negotiations. And I'm just really hoping they kind of rest him up for these moments because like he wants to play in every single game, and it's just like
No.
Connor, my friend, go. You know what? Maybe we should have like kept Kakinen, like even if he was injured, and we just send him on fishing trips because he would love that.
Hey, hey, Ellie, just you stay at home. We're the land of a thousand lakes for a reason.
Exactly.
Go find a lake for a couple of days. Yeah,
Yeah.
you just need to bring in like Mika Kiprasov as an advisor. Just, hey, Mika, I know you're ice fishing in Finland, but Winnipeg is basically Finland, so just come
Mhm.
over here. We'll send you to a lake with Helly for a weekend.
And third mention of him, Dustin Bufflin is always around, and he loves fishing as well. And he, we can bring him in as like almost a brand ambassador, but his secret job is to just get Connor Hellebuck like out of here for a few days, kick his feet up.
Yeah, just have a local business conveniently donate Dustin Bufflin a nice new ice fishing cabin, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's a foolproof plan. But speaking of merchandising, I'm shoehorning that one in. Let's
That's good.
go.
That's good. It's a veteran move, Conrad.
Oh, I'm trying. I'm gonna hide Brendan from you for a few minutes. Talk about
That's also a veteran move.
As people say, I have a face for radio. What better way to support something you love than by rocking it as clothing? Game Over's apparel line has dropped with 3 unique designs. Whether you feel nostalgic, the nostalgic pull of our retro skater design, want to make a statement with their established design, which is what I currently went for, and is currently on sale, or you want to wear your love for goalies proudly with our live and die by the goalie design, or hey, if you just need another coffee mug that isn't Pokeball shaped, you can grab it on the shop. Designed by Brady Chalice from Game Over Winnipeg. Use the QR code on stream now and take a look through our apparel store and help us rebuild local sports media in Canada while repping your community. Yeah, I had to throw a shot at the Pokeball mug.
You got a problem with the Pokeball mug, comrade?
I'm a huge Magic the Gathering nerd, so yeah, I've got a problem. The superior collectible trading card game. Didn't see anybody throw any questions in there, but I'm gonna, as I said, had a couple of comments from some of the Flames and Jets community. Will the Jets end their winning streak against the Leafs on Monday?
Ooh, I hope not. I have that game too. I am doing it with Lauren, I believe, from Game Over Toronto.
Lauren
And
the vet from Game Over Toronto.
Lauren the vet, like I'm hosting Lauren, but I feel like Lauren's gonna be pulling out some better veteran moves and even covering my face. I hope not, but like the streak will come to an end at some point. Let's just hope it's one of ties games. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, so I'm currently on the good old 1-2-1 record for this season, so I think we're gonna stop throwing me in the host chair for a little bit. Maybe I am the Audi jinx for this year. But that is a high octane offense in the Toronto Maple Leafs when they can put it together on the back end, which is not often this year. So I think that is possibly a team that will give this Jets team a challenge. Like, they can roll 3 lines that are actually like line 1 at B, and line 2, unlike the Flames, who can run out line 3A, line 3B, line 3C. So I think that one might challenge you guys a bit more, and especially with their speed against some of your guys on the back end is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, the speed's a challenge, and also like whenever the Jets don't have like one of those just A+ offensive players like a Austin Matthews, William Nylander.
What happened to that one that you used to have? Where did he go again?
Well, that's funny that you say that because we're actually not talking about that right now.
He's not playing hockey right now anyways.
No, he's you know what? Maybe he's fishing with Dustin Bufflin. I think that's where he is.
Possible. Him and his walking boot.
Yeah, like you don't need. It's a little tougher to kick the feet up with the walking boot, but it happens.
Anyways, but yeah, you guys do have a lot of depth, which will allow you to kind of match up against, but nobody has an Austin Matthews like just waiting in the wings, or very few teams.
No, just the absolute kiss of death when the puck's on his stick, and just they can spin you for circles if they get the cycle going.
For sure. And the other point I'm going to bring up is Matt C., another one of our Flames regulars. Things that trouble the Flames. One, being on the power play, especially when power play unit 2's out. We beat that into the ground. Number 2, playing against a backup goalie. Yes, we play like every backup goalie is going to win the Vezina every time they come to Calgary. And 3, face-offs. As I said, we actually won the face-off battle today, which is a miracle in itself. Is that something the Jets... No, that's not something the Jets... They had... who was it, your face-off ace for the last few years who just recently retired?
Oh, Sean Monahan was super good for us last year.
Yeah.
Monahan was. Who else was a great face-off guy for the Jets? Like, Scheifele's, like, historically bad.
Yeah.
Lowry feels like he should be amazing, but, like, sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't.
Son of Flames legend and former Jets coach Dave Lowry.
Dude, do you know, like, Adam Lowry had a little spike in ice time when that was going on. It was like a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Strange.
He's just a big fan.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And then
it doesn't.
Oh yeah, and then was it Paul Stastny?
Yes.
It's Paul Stastny was veteran, absolute vet. Love the guy.
Yeah, the Flames need someone like that right now, but apparently we're only looking for someone in the age range of 19 to 23. According to a certain person from a network that I don't like name dropping, so I'm not going to. Anything else?
I'd like to highlight Go Local Sports Team, who says you always need a coffee mug that is Pokeball shaped. So I think Conrad, what we're learning here is that the people appreciate the Pokeball shaped mug, and that some people.
All my mugs are the Flames like special edition jerseys that I've been using recently. Mm-hmm. I've been using the Black History Month one. I just don't have it in my office with me. I really love being someone who flies the rainbow flag. I love our Pride design from a few years ago, which everyone jokes about. Looks like it should be. It's not masculine enough, but I love it. But yeah, and I've got one of the STPN ones in my cart. Just need to wait for a paycheck to roll in from somebody who's owes me money over the summer.
That's working in comms, eh? Like a little freelance type of thing.
Don't even joke about it. It's so bad. But yeah, for the Flames, I think it's Vegas, Utah, New Jersey, and Edmonton in the next 4. So that's a bit of a murderer's row. When will we win more? Will we win more than one of those games? So obviously Vegas is a tough beat. They are a very skilled lineup up and down the lineup. I think they're beatable. Depends on which goalie we face. Utah, I'd like to think we can win that game, but it's in Utah, so I'm not entirely sure. New Jersey, that'll be the Jacob Markstrom revenge game. No way we win that game. Markstrom's going to absolutely be a stone wall. And Edmonton, they're looking for revenge. I actually think I'm on the post game for that one. So let's hope the Flames can come out 2 of 4. Your thoughts? Do you think the Flames, what you saw tonight, do we have a shot to go 50% in that stretch of 4?
Well, I think like when you're playing against a team like Edmonton and you're the Calgary Flames, I think there's always some voodoo that can be thrown in there. You know, it's just like when those matchups come together, it can be a little magical. And especially like October Edmonton and like April Edmonton.
Very different
2 different
teams.
beasts.
Yeah.
Very different teams. And you're hoping that you get the Octoberist of the Octoberist Edmonton Oilers.
We already got it once. I'm going to count that as a win.
Oh, us too.
Plus,
yeah.
we only faced them 3 times this year, and twice are before the Oilers start playing hockey. So
there we go. Yeah, that's always what you're looking for. Like it's like Connor McDavid. He's also with Dustin Byfuglien.
Yeah, the fishing trip just extends.
They got to get a bus for that, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, you don't think Dustin Byfuglien's already like into the like whole van life scenario where you renovate buses? That seems like something Big Buff could do. Because Dustin Byfuglien transition from forward to D, all in on the bus transformation. Like, come on, it's just natural.
He is just like Rob. He definitely is on a lake somewhere. Sometimes you'll have like a fishing derby come up in like Manitoba, and he's just like he's going, like he's there, and it's just like I think Dustin Byfuglien. There's no chance he owns a cell phone anymore.
Oh no. It was like when we heard that they were retiring Mika Kiprasov's number. Me and a bunch of my buddies were like, they found him to let him know. how did
He was
they
in the
do that?
mountains.
Well, no, he goes to Finland and nobody can find him. Like, he has a country or a town of residence listed, but we all know he's not there. Like, apparently the only so, okay, fun Flames story before we close it up for the night is apparently there were two people that could get a hold of Kipper in the offseason when he was playing for the Flames. And that was Iggy and Robin Regeer, because he respected Jerome McGinley and could talk to Robin Regeer about fishing. So
I'm telling you, Matt, fishing is connecting the hockey world.
yeah, with Robin, it seemed to be almost more, let's go snowmobiling, and then I'll sit and fish with you. Good Sasky boy by way of Indonesia and Brazil. Robin Regeer.
I heard Iggy was a guy like that too. Like he would just go up to the mountains. Like he'd be like, okay, we finished in 9th in the West. Perfect. I'm going up to the mountain. Well, not perfect. He's a competitive guy, but like I'm going up to the mountains now. I'll see you in 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, and I'll beat all of you guys in fitness testing still without stepping foot in the gym.
There's a secret mountain gym.
Oh, I believe it. There's enough land up there that he could have built one. But I think that's all we've got for this crossover. Thank you so much for joining us over on Game Over Flames.
It was a ton of fun.
You guys get to go win some more games, and I'll probably get to talk about more losses next week.
Yeah. Hey, you also get to go out and find a Pokeball mug, so that Go Local Sports team will be a happy lad.
See, I was playing Pokemon Go literally earlier, so can I really get that Raz that heavily? Like, let's be real. I'm just gonna make sure that I can double check when our next game is, because I thought I'd written it down, but I haven't. No, our next one will be Anand and Matt when the Flames take on the Golden Knights on Monday. And for over in Winnipeg, yeah, it is that Monday, the Amazon Prime game. Everyone loves that. So you'll be there with Lauren, yeah. So, and then Ty comes back for the midweek games, and
yeah, hopefully we're 9-0. So
so that handoff goes easy.
Yeah, at this point we're playing hot potato. It's just we're kind of pushing it to him so that because it's got to come at some point. And yeah, Go Local Sports team is fired up in the chat. He's writing in all caps, and I don't know if you have a choice now.
My Pikachu tail hat is upstairs. Like, I've got enough Pokemon stuff, guys. Come on now. But all right, for both of us on Game Over Calgary and Game Over Winnipeg, thanks for joining the crossover. Best luck to both of us until we meet again.
Thanks for having me, Conrad.
No problem.